Hey guys, welcome to the response section of the Q&A video that I'm doing for my 6,000 subscriber special. And oh boy, you guys definitely gave me some questions. You know, I was expecting a lot. I got a lot. So here we are. I think I'm responding to everything that's sensible anyway. There were a few that I, chucked in the trash. We're going to be responding to, I kind of have them organized. I got like all the similar ones kind of grouped together. But if you did ask a sensible question and I accidentally missed it somehow, then you can just leave it again in the comments and I'll respond down there. So without further ado, I think we should get started with definitely one of the best questions. What is your favorite nostalgia critic video? Now, you see, being a member of the Church of Dougism, we're not a cult. We're a church. You can go join us. We're great. I feel like these nostalgia critic videos don't always show off the true genius of Douglas Walker. I would highly recommend checking out some of his older stuff like Melvin, Brother of the Joker, Demo Reel, Pop Quiz Hotshot, and of course the films like To Boldly Flee. I think these really capture Doug's true essence as an artist. Although if I did have to narrow it down to nostalgia critic, I might have to go with Hocus Pocus. That one was quite good. Praise be to Doug Allman. What was your favorite controversy out of this garbage community? Oh, there have been a few. I've never really been like completely caught up in any of the drama here. I mean, I've been on the sidelines quite a few times, but never like directly involved. So I can only really comment as an onlooker. And I have to say, while I definitely feel bad for all the people who are, going through this drama, I think the finale of the Dadcast stuff really, it was really nice. It was satisfying. I really respect Flip for doing what he did, and yeah, that was a nice fun time. When will you fix your shelf? I don't know, man. I'm not a carpenter. Like, what do you want me to do? I don't even know. Like, what am I supposed to find another one of these support things to nail to my wall? I don't know. It's still standing. We're good. The drooping shelf is also kind of part of my brand now. Although I feel like a lot of people probably didn't know this, and now they're going to know this now, and it's going to piss a lot of people off, so... Top 3 favorite snacks from the 90s and early 2000s? I don't know, man. I don't pay attention to when snacks come out. Like, if I'm going to eat Oreos, I don't, pay attention to when Oreos first started. If it's good, I'll eat it. There you go. Do you see yourself reading manga for the rest of your life, and how old are you now? Well, I'm currently 22, and I don't see why I would stop reading manga. I'm sure there will be points in my life where, I don't read it for a while, but, I don't see a reason why I would ever, completely stop. I feel like even in my, 70s or some shit, I'll still be going back to read stuff like Monster, so, you never know. Assuming I can still see then, hopefully. How much would your life be different if it weren't for anime and manga? Honestly, not that different, I don't think. I mean, in terms of, how I keep busy and my hobbies and stuff, yeah. But in general, most of the things I've done in my life have had really nothing to do with with my love for anime and manga. So yeah, not quite sure if things would be super different there. Who's the hottest member of Manga Alert? I mean, if we're going the full cast, of all the seasons, might have to give it to Harold, but not entirely sure. He won't respond to my text. What camera and editing software do you use? Well, for the past while now, I've been using the webcam on my 2015 MacBook Pro, which is by no means a fantastic camera, but it gets the job done. And I use a Final Cut Pro to edit. I've been using that for 4 years now, I think. When I first started, I was using Sony Vegas, but I ended up jumping to Final Cut because I liked it a lot more. I think there's a chance I will collab with any manga channels next year, such as The Masked Man. I mean, collabs have never really been a thing I do. I'd never reach out to anyone to do collabs. I don't know, it's just not something I'm always super interested in. Not that I'm against it. When people reach out to me, I'm usually fine with it. I personally don't know The Masked Man at all, really. I don't think I even know anyone who knows him. I have seen a few of his videos, and they do seem very good, very high quality. But yeah, you never know. We'll see. Do you consider yourself an influencer in the community? Not really. I mean, that's a pretty vague term. I'm sure I've gotten a good amount of people into series that they may not have heard about before. But that's about it, really. I don't think, I'm changing any mal scores with with my reviews. What's some advice you have for someone making a web comic? So I think this is the first time I've talked about this on my channel, but I do draw webcomics and the like over on my art account on Instagram. Nothing in a professional sense. It's all very much, you know, a hobby, amateurish. I do it for practice or whatever. So I'm probably not like the best person to ask for advice on this, because I don't, like I said, I don't do this in the professional sense at all. But just a few tips I would have is to, you know, not spend too much time obsessing over the art for each individual drawing, because you're going to be drawing a lot. You know, I think it's better to just get what you want out, so it's done. And as you keep going, which I also recommend to, you know, keep your motivation up and just keep doing it, you'll find that you're going to get a lot better, both in, you know, the art quality and the speed at which you draw. And don't worry about like if your old drawings or like the story in your older parts of whatever you're doing is noticeably weaker, because, you know, that's just a part of growing, and I think you should just, you know, push on, and because, you know, it'll be good practice. I'd also, another tip to save time would be I like to do up all my backgrounds in 3D software and then just sort of draw over them like that. That saves an insane amount of time, while, you know, it's still being your own art, because you're creating the geometry in the backgrounds yourself. There's a lot I can say, but if you want to talk about it more, you're better off just DMing me on, you know, Twitter or Discord or wherever. Fuck off about Tails Gets Trolled. How are you able to make videos nonstop for 5 years even though your subscribers are so low compared to other channels? So the thing with the manga community on YouTube is that it's always been extremely small compared to other communities on YouTube, even compared to just like the general anime community. Like when it comes to manga, especially manga collecting, it is a lot more niche. So I kind of never expected to get a lot of subscribers and viewers on my content. If I were doing anything else, I think that these, like, you know, relatively low numbers would demotivate me, but because it's manga videos, because, you know, just getting like several hundred or thousand people watching your videos is in my opinion a pretty big accomplishment. That's why it kind of still motivates me. Just the fact that, you know, it's a small group of people, but, you know, it's still a pretty decent amount of people for this type of content. So yeah, numbers here have never really bothered me. I'm actually really happy with the growth we have right now, and yeah, we'll see where it goes in the future. Hey Apollo, what are 3 manga in your collection that you would never sell? I don't know, man. Say Monster, Vinland Saga. I'm gonna get Kaguya soon. I doubt I'd ever sell that. There we go. This is a weird one, Apollo. So you're asking me what my ideal PC build would be, but then you're saying money is not an issue. Obviously, I would just pick like the absolute best computer you can possibly get. Like, although I mean, you know, realistically, as long as something can run Minecraft at a stable frame rate, I'd be happy with it. How long did it take to accumulate the collection you have now? I believe I started collecting manga in July of 2014. So that's how long. What series would you say was so good you'd be mad at yourself in an alternate universe where you did not read it for whatever reason? Well, I'm definitely mad at my like past self for not reading Haikyuu earlier, so we'll go with that. Do I listen to music while reading? No, I think that's like insane. I really don't understand how people do that. I just find it very distracting, and I don't think I'll ever do that. Are you considering to read light novels? Not really. I mean, I definitely read a lot, but it's mostly, you know, as I call them, heavy novels. And to be quite honest, I don't know if there's a single light novel series that actually interests me. Like, there have been anime and stuff I've enjoyed that are based on light novels, but like never enough that I would want to go and read like all 20 volumes of them. Is there any non-Japanese property you want to see adapted in anime and manga? That's an interesting question. I think The Witcher would be a really cool anime. I mean, I know it already has the Netflix show, so that's pretty unlikely, but I think that could be really cool. I mean, Cyberpunk is getting an anime from Trigger. That's pretty sick. You asked me to choose between Fujiwara and Hayasaka? While I love Fujiwara, I think she is like primarily comic relief, and she pretty much always has been. We haven't really gotten like a super depressing Fujiwara arc yet, and I don't know if we ever will. But Hayasaka, I think, is a really, really well-developed character. So I would definitely go with her, and I think she's generally pretty awesome anyway. 5 series you want to read in the future? Oh boy, I want to read, let's see, I want to read The Climber, Grand Blue, Beastars. What else we got? I want to check out History from Hitoshi Iwaki. I'm also kind of interested in that like Kaiju number 8 manga going on. It's getting really popular really fast, so I kind of want to jump on that soon. Are there any anime that you like more than the manga? There's a lot of anime that I think are on par with the manga, but I don't know. I would say Mob Psycho, but the problem there is that the anime isn't complete, where the manga is. But yeah, I'll just say Mob Psycho, because that was absolutely fantastic. Top 5 and top 10 favorite arcs in manga. Are you guys insane? That's like a whole other video. I don't have time to think of this. On the screen now, I'm just going to put a ton of different manga arcs that I really love. They're all great. Go ahead. My favorite arc of all time is probably Farmland from Vinland Saga, and my favorite battle manga arc is the Chimera Ant arc from Hunter x Hunter. What's the definition of a mediocre series? Mediocre is mediocre. There's only one definition of mediocre. It's, it's a meh series. It's like not good, not bad, just middle of the road. If someone was completely new to manga, what would I recommend they read, and what would I recommend they stay away from? My number one recommendation to new people is always Full Metal Alchemist, because I think it is such a perfect introduction to this medium. It gives you basically everything you could ever want, and it's probably the most universally loved series ever. I really can't think of anything else that reaches that level. So yeah, definitely go for that one. And in terms of staying away from stuff, maybe the long stuff. I would not recommend a new person jump into One Piece or anything, because I feel like you could read all of that, or you could read 10 other really good series. And there's also a lot of other longer stuff which is just Fairy Tail. I'd be like, no, don't waste your time with that garbage. Is there a specific manga you consider to be underrated? Yeah, I think Astro Lost in Space really flew under people's radars. I really don't know why that series isn't more popular. I know most of the people who read it or watch the anime really love it, but no one ever really talks about it, and that's a shame, because I think it's amazing. What would be the best author and illustrator combination in a manga? That's a bit of a weird one. I'd really like to see Atsushi Okubo take on someone else's work, because I'm not really digging Fire Force that much, but I really love his art. Let's see, whose art? You know what? Fuck it. Let's have Okubo draw Hunter x Hunter from now on. There we go. Who's your biggest anime crush / waifu? I'm not attracted to cartoons, guys. What the fuck? What's an out-of-print manga that you want reprints of? I mean, if Phoenix ever got reprinted, the value of my volumes would probably drop significantly, and I have a goal. It's like my emergency. It's like my emergency gold mine now. If I ever lose my house or something, I can be like, hey, I got some Phoenix volumes. Can I exchange for some gold, please? However, if Phoenix got reprinted and more people could experience it, I'd be pretty happy with that. Do you plan to review more classic series next year? Meaning, series that have already ended? Yes, absolutely. I don't want to give them all away, but I am planning to read quite a few. How has your taste in manga changed since you started making videos? So I think my tastes have become a little more particular. I'm not as inclined to, get into the really trashy Boruto type shit. 5 years ago, I probably would have read Boruto. But I think at the same time, I've also mellowed out quite a bit. If I were to read Boruto now, I don't think I would put much energy into hating it the way I did Fairy Tail. Even if I reviewed Fairy Tail today, I don't think I would really care so much to make all those videos I did on it back then. I'd probably just be like, yeah, this is terrible, I'm just gonna move on. What are some of your favorite manga that aren't well known in the mainstream? Well, I already talked about Astra. I think another one is Yamada-kun and the Seven Witches. I mean, most of you guys know I love that series. I talk about it all the time. I think that really had the potential to be super popular. I don't really know what happened there. I know Yoshikawa has a new romantic comedy series out, which I haven't checked out, but I am kind of interested in it. Thoughts on shoujo manga? Is it something you want to read more of? Yeah, I'm not against reading it at all. It's just generally the manga that I'm interested in reading just end up being, shonen or seinen. But, if something looks really good and it's shoujo, I really don't care at all. I really, really love Fruits Basket. I've been keeping up with that anime, and I'm probably going to read the whole manga and review it later this year. So yeah, no problems with it at all. Is there any manga you like to reread every once in a while? Oh, probably the one I've reread the most is Soul Eater. I think that it's just so fast paced. I really love the characters and art. I think that's a fun one to go back to every now and then. What series has your opinion shifted on the most? Now, it's probably Fairy Tail, but I mean, I feel like that was more the story just got bad as I was reading it, and then I started to realize it. I think a series that I completed a long time ago that I don't like nearly as much as I used to would be Death Note. Not that I think Death Note's bad or anything, but I literally used to think it was a masterpiece, and now looking back, while I think the first half is still really solid, I just don't think it was nearly as brilliant as I originally thought it was. Have you ever thought of getting into any manhwa or webtoons, that type of stuff, God of High School or Solo Leveling? Now, I've checked out the anime for some of these, being Tower of God and God of High School. Was not impressed with Tower of God. It felt kind of like, worse Hunter x Hunter. I watched one episode of God of High School and I stopped because everyone was talking about how bad an adaptation it was. Solo Leveling, though, I hear nothing but amazing things about it. So I may just have to get on that one day. We'll have to see. But I'm definitely not opposed to necessarily reading any of these big manhwa series. Well, there's some character traits that you really love and ones that you really hate. Not really much to say. I just generally like characters who are smart and like think about things logically, as opposed to characters who are really dumb. Like a lot of times, like really like glaringly stupid character decisions can take me out of a series, and I don't like expect every character to be a genius or anything. But when they're decently smart and make good decisions most of the time, I'm usually fine with that. Do you ever get burnt out of manga? Sometimes. I mean, there are times where I do like read a lot in like 1 month or so, and then I take another month off. But generally, no. I mean, I still read all the series every week that I'm keeping up with. So yeah, I just love the medium and really never felt the need to take a huge break from it. Where do you think Magi stands when it comes to shonen battle manga? So Magi for me is like absolutely amazing. I think it stumbles a bit in the final volume, which keeps me from calling it like one of the best battle manga I've ever read, but it is definitely extremely high up there. If you're a battle manga fan and haven't checked out Magi, really cannot recommend it enough. Ping Pong review, yeah, there's another one of the series I will be reviewing. I need to pick up the second and final omnibus volume they released, but we'll definitely probably be getting this one earlier in 2021. Why the actual fuck did you read all of Fairy Tail? I mean, this is over 3 years ago now. Good lord. The reason behind it really is that it was just a series I'd been with for so long, and I really wanted to give it a fair shake and just see if it was as good as I remembered. It wasn't, but yeah, I kind of just needed the closure. Would I have done it today? Probably not. But that was it. That was the way back then. Yeah, the guy who always tells me to read Ajin. I mean, you said it yourself. If it's ending soon, then there's a good chance I might check it out. You never know. I have heard good things about it. We'll see. Thank you for asking a real question instead of that Rosario vampire guy. You interested in checking out Hajime no Ippo and Ashita no Joe, or any more sports manga in general? Yeah, definitely for sure. Although I will say I don't know about Ippo just because of how comically long it is at this point. Ashita no Joe is pretty short though, so I might check that one out in the future. I don't know if I'll really ever get into Ippo, maybe someday, but definitely not on my radar right now. When are you catching up to One Piece? Already done. I'm enjoying the current chapters quite a bit, and I'm definitely ready for chapter 1000, whatever it may bring. What do you think had the most potential out of the canceled series in Jump? That's a hard one. Probably, honestly, Time Paradox Ghostwriter. I don't think it was good after 2 or 3 chapters, but I thought the initial setup was really, really solid, and I think it could have ended up being a really interesting and unique series. But obviously that didn't happen. Stupid characters, what I talked about earlier, that girl was so insanely stupid that I just instantly fell off the series in chapter 2. Do you think when Black Clover ends you would review it? Probably. This is back to the fairy tale thing. Like I said, if it were today, I don't think I would, and I don't know if I would. I mean, Black Clover is going to be at least over 30 volumes, and I honestly don't know if I have it in me to read the whole thing. I've tried multiple times to get into it, and I really can't. Your name's Gear Third, but you don't really talk about One Piece a lot. Yeah, well, that's just kind of One Piece used to be one of, if not my favorite series back 5 years ago when I made this name. And now, while I still really enjoy it, it's just not one that I talk all too much about. I'm not super passionate about it. So, but of course I can't just change my name like Apollo. So here I am, we're stuck with it. I don't know if I'll ever make theory videos or anything. It's not really what I do. And I know a lot of people already make that type of content for One Piece. You think Shonen Jump may be running out of ideas? I don't. You see, the interesting thing about modern Shonen Jump is that for the first time ever, we have had access to every single new series. Before, we would not get all of these series unless they ended up becoming popular. So when you look back at history and all the popular Shonen Jump series, it seems like there was a higher volume of hits back in the day, and now there's just a lot of crap in the magazine. But in reality, it has always been like this. You've always had some garbage like Bone Collection or Mori King, and you've always had, you know, your big up and coming hits like, you know, Mashle, Jujutsu Kaisen. So yeah, I don't think they're running out of ideas. I think we just now have a bigger picture of just how many series don't last. When Dragon Ball ended in Jump, the magazine saw a decline in sales until One Piece came along. Do you think the same thing will happen when One Piece ends? Well, I think it's going to have a pretty significant decline now that Demon Slayer's over. But I mean, yeah, generally, One Piece still sells over 1 million per volume, so, you know, when that's eventually gone, that will be a big blow. So it really depends whether or not they have another series to replace that. I mean, Jujutsu Kaisen looks like it might pass One Piece sales, but we also don't know how long that'll be, so, you know, we'll just have to see. I think we still have a good, like, 5 years at least before One Piece is done. Do you think My Hero Academia is ending, or are we heading to a time skip? It's definitely not ending anytime soon. I don't want to give any spoilers away, but I believe a few years ago Horikoshi said like he was planning to make it at least 400 chapters, so that's kind of what I'm expecting. It's either like the minimum will probably be 400 chapters, so we have quite a while to go. I'd guess like a minimum maybe 3 years, but you know, we'll have to see. It's definitely not ending soon though, so don't worry about that. Should I wait for season 5 of My Hero Academia or collect everything after season 4? Same thing applies to Dr. Stone. I'm of the opinion that the manga for these series is significantly better. I think, you know, for the first like 2.5 seasons, My Heroes was pretty damn good, but ever since they started making movies, I thought the quality of the animation dipped quite a bit, and I'm really worried for season 5 because of how crazy the action is going to be. So I would definitely say jump to the manga after that. And with Dr. Stone, I don't really think the anime is that great at all. I think it kind of looked like a slideshow when I was watching it. I don't think they do Boichi's art justice at all. So yeah, I would definitely go with the manga for both of those options. Although, I mean, I'm sure the animes will still be, you know, serviceable. Thoughts on Kishimoto doing the manga of Boruto? Will it be lit or nah? Probably not. Of course, I haven't read Boruto. I probably never will. So I technically don't know if it's good or not, although I can guess. But I don't really think in recent years Kishimoto has proven himself to be a super great writer, so I don't really know if he'll be able to save it, but I'm sure it won't matter to the fans anyway. So good for them, I guess. Favorite character in Chainsaw Man? It's probably Power. I really, really like Power. I think she's a really interesting and funny character. If any of you think it's Makima, then catch this ban. When does your spoiler video on Hunter x Hunter come out? Okay, so there have been a lot of times where I've like been gushing about a manga and I'm like, oh man, I need to make a spoiler video. I'm definitely making a spoiler video. And then I don't. Sometimes it's justified, like with Promised Neverland. That was right before I had my accident and I had to take a big break, and then I sort of just like lost the motivation for that. But with Hunter x Hunter, there was really no excuse. I just didn't make one after I said I would. So yeah, sorry about that. Sometimes, you know, I just get sidetracked and forget to to do stuff. Why haven't I read Yu Yu Hakusho? I actually did. This was another thing that like the accident kind of threw me off. I was reading Yu Yu Hakusho. I read a few volumes. It was pretty good so far. But then I had the accident, and then I think Haikyuu was ending, so I wanted to catch up there, and it sort of just got sidetracked. But you can expect a review of this series in 2021 at some point. How would you rank the series Samurai 8, Zipman, and Mori King on a scale from most influential of the year to all-time king of Shonen Jump? No, but for a serious question, where can I sign up for Apollo's OnlyFans account? Blade of the Immortal versus Vagabond. Now, I've only read about half of what's out of Vagabond. It's super good, but for that reason, I would give it to Blade, just because, you know, that's a completed series that is absolutely fantastic from front to back. And just in general, I do find, you know, the more supernatural take on samurais to be a bit more interesting than Vagabond's more realistic style. They're both fantastic series, though. Have you read Berserk, and if so, do you intend on covering it on your channel? I have no idea what you're talking about. I've never heard of this series before in my life. Obviously, you prefer Vinland Saga to Berserk. What do you think Vinland Saga has that Berserk doesn't? This is really a matter of taste. I mean, it's just I vibe with Vinland Saga more. You know, you can't really judge both series on an objective level. I kind of lost interest in Berserk's story about halfway through, and I'm now just really in it for the pretty art and goofy characters. They also ask that, well, like, what are your general tastes people should know about going into my reviews? Bringing up, you know, the melon god himself, Fantano, as an example. Personally, I don't really know. I mean, I don't know. I feel like just tell people, like, watch my top videos, watch my collection videos where I talk about what I like, and I think you'll generally have a good indication of the types of things I like and the things I don't. There's not really like a specific genre or trope that like I absolutely hate or can't stand. Is Vinland Saga still your favorite manga? No, it's Kaguya. I've mentioned this on the podcast, but the main reason why is just reading Vinland monthly is quite a slog. I mean, it's a series that I think is far superior when binge read, especially that we've been in a setup arc for such a long time now, whereas Kaguya is like every single week you get a banger of a chapter, and it's so much fun. Really great. That's mainly the reason why I put Kaguya above it. I still love them both though. Do you think Vinland got worse after Farmland? No, but I do think it got worse a little bit after that. But not to say it got bad at all. I think it was just, instead of being like one of the best things I've ever read, now it's just, standard, really enjoyable. There are a few like problems that have come up in the series recently that I don't particularly care for, but I am still pretty invested to see how it goes. And to what you say, I don't actually know if there's like any person alive who thinks the Baltic War is as good as the prologue or Farm. I mean, if there is, all the power to you, but come on now. Who's the best girl in Kaguya? Talked about it earlier. I would give it to Hayasaka. I think she's a fantastic character, although honestly, I really love all the characters in Kaguya. Although I would say the worst girl, probably by default, is Kashiwagi, just because we've not gotten too much about her. Again, she's just a kind of a really minor character, mostly there for comic relief. Have you pre-ordered the Eden Zero video game yet? Just fuck off. I hate anime games. Holy. What's the greatest anime adaptation of a manga you've ever seen? Again, probably Mob Psycho. It just elevates the source material to such heights. It's beautiful. Favorite intro that I made? Ooh, I might have to go with the one for Bleach. I really had fun making that. It's also probably like the most time I've ever spent on a review intro too. What order are you doing the life paths in Cyberpunk? I'm not sure. I'm leaning towards starting with Nomad. Because I think that one seems the most appealing to me, although they really all look like a ton of fun. So I think eventually I might end up playing them all. I'm definitely going to be getting that game when it comes out, as long as we find out it runs decently on the base PS4. That's my main concern right now. But in a few days, I'm sure we'll find out. And as long as it, it's stable, then I think I'll go ahead and get it. Hey, I'm doing some time travel here. Obviously, this was recorded before Cyberpunk came out, and now that Cyberpunk is out, I definitely am not going to be playing the PS4 version. Probably ever. I'm definitely interested in the game. The game itself, the contents of it look fantastic, but performance-wise, I think it is pretty unacceptable on the base consoles. So while I'm sure I will eventually get around to it and love it, it's probably going to be a while. Probably not until I get a PS5 at least. Instead, I opted to buy Hades on Switch, which is a phenomenal game, which I think any fan of the roguelike genre should definitely check out. Have you read anything by Yonan Vasquez? I haven't. I have watched a good bit of Invader Zim, though. I like that show quite a bit, especially the new movie. I thought that was really fantastic. But I have not read any of his comics or anything like that. And that type of stuff isn't really on my radar, but you never know. You never know. What are some of your favorite movies of all time? Oof. Well, my favorite movie, period, is The Shawshank Redemption. Absolutely, beautiful film. Absolutely perfect. Can't get enough of it. I love The Thing. That's probably my favorite horror movie. Still blows me away how good the effects are. Yeah, it's hard to list all of my favorites, but in general, movies from Mike Flanagan, David Fincher, Quentin Tarantino, Edgar Wright. Most of those are all among my favorites. I also really love James Wan's horror movies, except for Dead Silence. I'm really excited for Malignant. I know we don't know anything about it yet, but just because it's a James Wan horror film, very excited. Favorite type of monkey? Probably Dora, Boots. We'll say Boots. Danny Trejo voiced him in the new movie. He's a pretty funny little guy. What was your favorite childhood manga? I can't really answer that because I didn't start reading manga until I was 16. Favorite Nintendo game? God, that's actually a really hard one. I could go normie with Ocarina of Time, but I think I'm gonna say Tropical Freeze. Tropical Freeze is on another level, man. I definitely think if you're a fan of 2D platformers, it's definitely I would argue it's probably the best AAA 2D platformer of the decade. And yeah. Do you know what the fuck the video game Funky Barn is? So I actually do know what Funky Barn is. I believe it was a 3DS and Wii U exclusive. I think it was a party game. And while I don't really know what the gameplay was like, I remember it was really infamous for being like really terrible. Like it had like a 30 on Metacritic or something. So yeah, can't wait. Can't wait for the Switch port. Rank all the Soulsborne games. Now I have played Bloodborne, Dark Souls 1, and Dark Souls 3. Bloodborne definitely my favorite. That's one of my favorite games of all time. Absolutely love it. Then I would say Dark Souls 3 and then Dark Souls 1. Although it's a bit complicated because I think like the first, say, 2/3 of Dark Souls 1 are absolutely perfect, like on par with Bloodborne for me. But then it really falls flat in like those final levels, like the fucking Tomb of Giants, Lost Izalith, that garbage. Whereas I don't think anything in Dark Souls 3 is as good as the start of Dark Souls 1, besides like some of the final bosses later in the game. I just think it's a more consistent experience. So that's why I would rank it above the first. And as for hardest, I would give it to Bloodborne just because that was my first. So, you know, getting used to that type of game, it took me a while. And then when I played the others, they weren't nearly as bad because I kind of knew what to expect. Will you ever review books on this channel besides manga? I never really planned to do that. I mean, I tossed around the idea of doing like a top 10 Stephen King books video. So, you know, if that's something people would be interested in, then maybe, but I don't know, I think I'll mainly stick to manga. There's a lot of great book reviewing channels out there. And also, I think, like, that would be a much more of a time commitment, reading novels all the time. Can't read those nearly as fast as manga. Brief update on my Stephen King reading, and if I ever got around to 11/22/63. Not yet, but I am very close. I feel like I've read almost all of, you know, the essential books, like all of King's, you know, most popular, most acclaimed, you know, his stuff from, like, his big books from, you know, like the 70s, the 80s, and a few others. And I'm currently reading Wizard and Glass. I'm making my way through the Dark Tower series. I'm planning on just like binging all of those now. I'm not going to read anything else until I finish that series. But then once I'm done Dark Tower, like 11/22/63 is the main big one. The main like super popular acclaimed one that I haven't read yet. So yeah, that's when we'll do that, and I'm very, very excited because it sounds right up my alley. I love when King goes into historical type stuff. Already a couple of my favorite books. Well, obviously I mostly have been reading Stephen King ever since I got back into novels, and my favorite of his is definitely The Stand and Salem's Lot. I absolutely love those books so much. I really love A Song of Ice and Fire. I love that series, but I haven't really read much else yet. Although this year I definitely plan to branching out into more series. I'm going to read Mistborn soon, which I'm really looking forward to. I really want to get into Sanderson stuff, including, you know, The Wheel of Time, which he ended up finishing. Have you read Everything's Eventual? No. In fact, the only collection of stories from King that I have read is Different Seasons. I'm a lot more interested right now in the novels, but I do think eventually, once I get most of the big novels I want to read out of the way, I'll check out most of his short story and novella collections. And I'll definitely keep an eye out for The Man in the Black Suit. How would you feel about a Junji Ito and Stephen King collaboration? I don't know, actually, because I feel like they're such... Well, they both do horror and, like, can do, like, some grotesque cosmic type stuff. Like, their styles of storytelling are so completely different that it would be really odd. I don't know how good King would actually be at writing, like, a manga. I know his stuff has been adapted into comics before, and I think it would actually be really interesting to see Junji Ito do like one of his more freaky stories. Like, I mean, I think Junji Ito like doing a revival or something would be really cool, or Pet Cemetery even. But yeah, I don't know, like obviously if that were to happen, I would love it, but I don't really know. I can't picture it in my head super well. Who would win in a fight, me or Based? I think we unfortunately all know the answer to that. Why can't Based Senpai be more like you, just an honest to God Hunter x Hunter fan? I don't know, man. He's got like a stick up his butt. He is like the quintessential shonen fanboy. I mean, he collects and loves it all. But when it comes to Hunter x Hunter, one of the best-selling, most acclaimed shonen battle manga, he just won't. He thinks not. He literally thinks Naruto is better. Like, I don't know what to do with that boy. And then from the man himself, do you want your other limbs mangled by me because you refuse to read Kengan Omega? Why won't you read it? Answer me or face the consequences. And that'll do it, everyone. Thank you so much for answering a question. Good lord, my throat is dry. How long was this? Like 40 minutes? Yeah, I say we did a good job. It'll be quite a while before the next one, but I think I had fun doing this. I think we can do it again in the future. So thank you everyone who left a question. If you want more elaboration on my responses, then you can, just let me know in the comments. And with that, I will see you all very soon, hopefully, for the Chainsaw Man review.